Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
This is Night Cam reporter Tim Pamplin. We're up in Algonac tonight. A major calamity unfolding as an ice jam is causing the icy St. Clair River to flood into Algonac. We got the Night Cam on the scene.
The state superintendent of schools says Michigan's children are falling behind.
Time. Children have lost it during the pandemic. They need more next year.
He's calling on the legislature to extend the school year.
Dr. Michael Rice wants to increase the required number of days children are in school to combat time lost in the classroom these past 10 months.
Rice went before the legislature today telling lawmakers what's going to be required for children to catch up and move forward. Let's bring in Mara McDonald live in Troy tonight. Mara, he made it clear that even before COVID, he felt the current school year was too short.
That's right, Devin. And the state superintendent simply told the legislature this, that you have 180 days that you mandate right now that children have to be in class. It is simply not enough, especially in light of all that has been lost over the last year.
Yet a return to pre-pandemic education is not enough. As we plan for next year, as educators begin to do every winter, we need to pivot to a new, better normal.
State School Superintendent Dr. Michael Rice testifying in front of a joint committee of the Michigan legislature on what is one of the biggest struggling points of this pandemic, educating children. Rice is calling on the legislature to increase the required amount of days in school. Currently, it's 180. He says it needs to be more. Parents tell us more in-person instruction is needed, especially for elementary age students.
I believe that it is definitely a good idea. And that's something that the district should decide on.
Rice says this has to be a multi-layered approach, and districts will need to have the ability to make their own decisions as far as instruction, something that Detroit School Board member and former state legislator Sherry Gay Dagnogo says is critical.
We're going to have to look at some creative ways of not just checking off a box for the number of days. We're going to have to make sure that we extend the time for the purpose of competency and ensure that our children are on the right level. You can't skip math steps and do well at the next level.
Rice concurs. Each district has its own set of challenges.
Child by child, group by group, districts will have to reflect on what is needed and how to meet these needs.
Back here live, Rice also told the legislature that he thinks that students can return to in-person learning this winter, meaning essentially right now, as long as the COVID cases remain relatively flat and those vaccines continue to roll. We're live in Troy tonight. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
Yeah, it gives us a lot to chew on. All right, Mara.
A flood warning in effect tonight along the St. Clair River. Ice jams have flooded main roads and homes from Algonac all the way to Port Huron. Tim Pamplin is in St. Clair County with a Night Cam.
This is a dangerous situation in Algonac tonight. The St. Clair River now flowing over the seawalls, dumping frozen water into Algonac. This water now making its way into homes and stranding residents in their riverfront neighborhoods.
I've lived here for about 45 years now, and the water is as high as I've ever seen it.
An ice jam near Harson's Island is creating a dam effect, sending the water into Algonac and stranding neighbors in their homes.
This is the worst I've ever seen it.
That's Algonac Councilman Rocky Gillis says he was on a Zoom meeting. When he stepped out his home, he saw icy water up around his and his neighbors' homes. I spoke to the fire chief earlier. He says they're standing by, their staff, they're ready to help once the 911 calls start coming in.
Luckily, we've got the Griffin on its way.
The Griffin is a Canadian Coast Guard cutter, usually seen up in the St. Lawrence Seaway. It's heading this way, and already on the scene is the U.S. Coast Guard Bristol Bay. Residents hoping they can soon cut a pass through the ice jam and let some of this water recede. Here's Councilman Gillis again.
Help your neighbor, take care of each other, call the emergency services if you need it.
So back out here as the icy water continues to inundate Algonac. As I zoom in down there, that driver's going to have to turn around. They're on a peninsula, a bit of land that juts out into the river. They simply can't get through to get onto the mainland. A perilous situation in Algonac tonight. With the Night Cam, Tim Pamplin, Local 4.
Oh, that is a mess. All right. Well, let's check in with Ben and the flood warning issued now for that area.
Yeah, Ben, how long is that warning in effect?
Well, it's in effect till 10 a.m., but as you heard from Tim, until they get that cutter out there to slice up that ice jam, this thing may get extended depending on how long it takes. Mother Nature surely isn't going to help tomorrow, I can tell you that much. Let's take a look at that flood warning again. It's just that sliver of southeastern St. Clair County that runs the river there from the lake down towards Lake St. Clair. Port Huron, St. Clair, Algonac, heard all those towns mentioned there, are going to be under that flood warning again till 10 a.m. tomorrow at least. Temperatures right now mid-20s for most of us, with wind chills which are in the low to mid-teens. But as we go forward tonight, you can see that a lot of us are going to feel like it's near zero as we start out tomorrow morning. This is your 4-zone forecast. Metro zone 4 to 7 for those wind chills tomorrow. South zone not a whole lot better. In fact, they'll see some zeros and even -1s in spots for wind chills. A lot of negative numbers out there in the west zone and also in the interior portions of the north zone, but just a little bit milder out there towards Lake Huron, Lexington, Port Huron. 5 for those wind chills tomorrow morning. And then the big changes, which are on the way. At least in the short term, we're going to warm up. That ridge coming out of the Plain States will get to 36, 37 on Wednesday and Thursday, but you can see that cold air bottled up behind it. We'll talk about that and the snow chances to come in just a few minutes, guys.
All right, Ben. A daring I guess you'd call it daring, mid-afternoon bank robbery turned out to be not so daring after all.
A would-be robber tried to knock off the Level 1 bank on Telegraph in Bloomfield Township. Let's bring in Jason Colthorpe, who's there live tonight, where they have a huge cleanup job. Jason.
Oh, they sure do, Kim. I mean, shards of glass like this still all over the place, and you'll take a good look at the damage here. But there was a lot of craziness as this unfolded today for a few moments when a lot of people didn't know exactly what was going on. But as the FBI is involved in the investigation tonight, make no mistake, this was an attempted bank robbery. It was the kind of loud crash that normally meant a car accident at the busy intersection of Telegraph and Maple. But Tuesday afternoon at 2:40, the smashing of glass was a silver SUV going into the front of Level 1 Bank. After initial confusion that it was just an accident, police got a 911 call reporting gunshots outside the bank. Seconds later, Bloomfield Township police officers were on the scene. They saw a man trying to drive off in the heavily damaged SUV and then making a run for it. He was taken into custody and police determined he tried to rob the bank. Police say the man has mental issues and was wearing a bulletproof vest, a gas mask, and a bulletproof hat. Tonight, repair crews were starting to fix the damage to the bank and replacing the glass. The suspect, a 37-year-old man from Detroit, is in the custody of Bloomfield Township Police. And we will learn a lot more about that man tomorrow. As you take a live look at the damage, a close look, that's the seating on the other side of where this truck went through there. Now, a witness told us moments before a woman was sitting there, but as luck would have it, she got up. She moved away just moments before that SUV came crashing through here. She's okay. No one else injured in all of this. Of course, that's the good news. We're in Bloomfield Township tonight. Jason Colthorpe, Local 4.
Indeed. Okay, Jason, thank you. Promising vaccine news tonight, with Pfizer announcing it plans to deliver 200 million doses of its vaccine earlier than expected.
Pfizer says it can deliver the doses to the U.S. by May, earlier than its initial forecast of July, so a 2-month improvement. Here at home, the state today reporting 1,203 new cases over the past 24 hours and 63 more deaths due to coronavirus. In Detroit, Mayor Duggan says the city is ready to expand vaccine eligibility to restaurant and grocery store workers.
Anybody who is handling food and beverages, if you live or work in the city, you can call today and you can get a vaccine very shortly.
Also eligible to get the vaccine in Detroit, security guards and janitors.
One man is killed in a machete attack at a home in Pontiac. Deputies responded to a home this morning on Oliver Street near Glenwood and Perry. They tell us a 51-year-old Independence Township man went to the home to buy prescription drugs and attacked 2 men with a machete and steak knife. A 27-year-old man was killed. The other man who was attacked is stable at a hospital. The suspect is in police custody.
Tomorrow, a state task force is going to share its work aimed at preventing another dam failure after the catastrophic flooding in Midland last year. State's Dam Safety Task Force will hold a public Zoom meeting at 2 p.m. and it'll share its recommendations developed over these last 5 months before sending them to the governor. That flooding destroyed 150 homes and caused more than $200 million worth of damage.
Moving now to the U.S. Capitol building, where a tribute is underway for a police officer killed in the January 6th insurrection.
The remains of Officer Brian Sicknick lying in honor in the Capitol Rotunda. The rotunda is going to be open all night for officers to visit and pay their respects. Then there'll be a congressional tribute tomorrow morning, and then Officer Sicknick's remains will be taken to Arlington National Cemetery for burial.
Still ahead, an entire family diagnosed with COVID-19 twice in the span of 2 months.
As far as the symptoms, they were much more severe.
They thought they still had immunity. How the second battle with the virus has been quite different.
In the middle of yesterday's winter storm, a mom-to-be started having contractions. The adventure that followed led to a baby girl being delivered in the front seat of a car. We'll have more.
But first, movement in Washington on President Biden's stimulus plan that involves another round of checks for Americans. That's next.